Peasant Productions presents the math of ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. Just kind of a random in the middle here. You know, you're starting to see why I say it's not so much that you got to believe everything you hear. It's not so much that you have to run around and do 100,000 different things. But at the same point in time, you don't want to sit there and listen to people tell you that you shouldn't look around and see what else is out there. You know, the ideas, the realities of what's going on, the idea that, you know, if you stop and look at what has been happening over the past, let's say 35 years, okay, 2017, 1982, okay. 1982, I was leaving the Los Angeles area and moving into Middle California, Tahoe area. The song that was one of the songs, I should say, not the song, one of the songs that was on the radio a lot that I personally got a laugh out of was one that said, "Nobody walks in L.A." I don't remember all the lyrics of it and all that, but that comment was quite amusing to me because I was a person who walked around L.A., okay? Like I said, I've been a night photographer, you know, 1970s, 1973, 1974. 1974, I got my first darkroom and started producing my first prints, okay? 1973 or so was when I first started going out and photographing stuff, and I was walking into, you know, the was called a photomat place, little booths, and of course they couldn't produce my photographs were the bloody, and it was pretty expensive also, because they didn't know what to do with night photography. I go out and I do stuff, and I've done stuff, and I've looked around, and I've always been out walking and carrying my bags of equipment and camera equipment and doing this. Well, in the 1980s, 1979, 1980, 1981, 1982, it was very common for me to go out and, you know, take off on my little moped or to take off on my feet with my backpack full of cameras and a tripod hanging on my back and just start walking. And I might walk for 4 or 5 or 6 hours around Los Angeles to some very grimy places, ugly places, deadly places, places that they talk bad about. But I'm going around at, you know, 11, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. And of course, the amusing part was, one, I'm a white guy. Walking where white people aren't supposed to survive, and two, there weren't a whole lot of people out there on the streets at that time of night anyway, so it really wasn't that bad. I mean, you think about it, when are the criminals out there? When there's plenty of people to do something, okay? If you are a pickpocket, A, you need a lot of people so that you can look for somebody that is easy pickings. B, you need a lot of people so you have a crowd to disappear back into and to confuse the issue. Okay? So you really miss the point when you hear the government telling you don't walk those other places, always stay in this, you know, right in this one place, right in this one thing. Because technically they're telling you to stay right where the pickpocket knows where to find you. Okay? I mean, it's not illogical to stay in, I mean, even here, I stay around the centers of town more than walking off too far, because it is quite common to shoot journalists in the head. Okay? They don't like their corruption pointed out any more than anybody else does. But on the other hand, I'm not totally afraid to go walking around because most of the people are so shocked to see it that, you know, what the heck. But yeah, I was walking, and in 1982 I was walking in L.A. And 1983, I created the International Space Station, knowing that I needed to try and change humanity's objectives to try and think differently about peace. If it was possible to do, it had to be kind of a subliminal message to get people to pay attention, because the government itself had just done all of the 60s and 70s really dirty to make the peace movement an absolutely scummy, drug-addicted movement. So yeah, I needed to do something. Now, what was I up against? Well, stop and think about it. You had Madonna singing Material Girl songs. You had movies like, what was it, Valley Girl and stuff like that. Got No Clue, and it's all about the physical. I've got pleasure and I've got money and I've got, they didn't have iPhones, but I've got my iPhone, type of attitude. Okay, here's 2017, 35 years later, and yeah, you're all 100% materialistically gold. You desire materialism. You talk bad about anybody that doesn't desire materialism. You talk bad about spiritualism. You talk bad about being spiritual. You talk good about belonging to a religion. You're kind of like my meme I pulled off the internet there, where it basically, I don't know it exactly word for word, but you buy this Bible, you never read it, you're an absolute perfect Christian. You start reading it, and you're on your way to being a heretic. You actually sit down and study this thing, you are an atheist. Interesting comment by people. When you actually study their book, you are anti-God. Yeah, right. But nonetheless, that is the direction things were going. That is the direction things have taken. Okay, and in 1982, I understood this. It was rather easy to look at things. We had just voted Reagan into office. We had our royal family. And while it had been commented a little bit before that, the media now hyped the snot out of the idea that we have a royal couple. What was Reagan? He was an actor. What was Nancy Reagan? An alcoholic. Yeah. Your most finest couple that ever was a Republican in office and did so much for the world. A movie actor and an alcoholic. Yeah. So you can understand now why you have a drug-addicted, pleasure-seeking, lying to everybody, total farce, corrupted system that from your news sources and your movies and your corporations and your government down to the lowest levels of society, you all drool over the idea of being rich and bigoted. And it's sad, totally sad. But if you were somebody like me who actually paid attention to what was going on with, the news, and you followed as many different types of news information and trend information as possible, you actually had a clue that this is where things were going. This would be where it would eventually end up. Nothing in what I'm saying at the moment is hidden. It is, as they say, where is the best place to hide? In plain sight. Okay? It's like what I was saying about that person that got all bent out of shape because he asked, well, where did these 0.001% elite rich hide? Well, actually, if you look at it, they're all front and center. They're at your biggest functions. They're in your finest houses and the finest apartments, and let's face it, from Beverly Hills and Westwood, it may be gated community in the sense that each of those houses has an awful lot of protection around it, but you can drive through those places. You can be going down the street and see one of those rich, wealthy people going by. You can go find the Getty Museum and you know, various things of this sort. It's not impossible to find. It's like the Sinclair, you know, broadcasting group. It took me a matter of minutes to bounce over to Sinclair, pull up their about page, show that they had CBS, ABC, NBC, and Fox News. The four major competitions, because you got, you know, CNN over here too. But you think about it, you know, you got the four major competitions that everybody talks about. You know, those are the ones you have to watch. And they're all, you know, all basically owned by one company, one major corporation who dictates down to those four news agencies what they will do. Do you really want to think about it? Look through all four of them during one same half-hour time period, flash across. If you can, get 4 TVs up. And, you know, just, you know, have them all muted and just watch what comes up on the screen. And notice the fact that they're all on the same chapters at the same time, talking about the same kind of stories. And they'll have just maybe a little bit of a twist, but not much. But they've all got the same things. You're all fed the same lines. You're all fed the same information. So a person like me who has for 57 years dealt with this mathematics, do you really think I have any problem opening my eyes and looking around? Do you really think I have any problem with somebody walking up and saying, hey, Peter, wait a minute, go back and look at this. Do you really think you have your data correct here? Because look at this piece of data I've got over here. Do you really think I have any problem going over there and looking at their data? No. If I'm wrong, fine, I'll change my opinion. Like I said, I used to favor salmon from farmed fish farming systems until I started looking at everything that was involved. The fact that the pink color of salmon was a cancer-causing chemical kind of freaked me. The fact that the high levels of antibiotics that were placed in the food that were just, you know, thrown out over these, you know, these ponds in the nets in the ocean, which means that you had just this huge amount of waste. The same way if you go wherever a city is and you look to see that, you know, your sewer line sticks out somewhere. Okay, you have either a sewage treatment place or you have sewage flowing off into, you know, the landscape. But you have some kind of garbage and sludge, and so yeah, there was all kinds of problems. And so I changed my mind. Salmon from farming and you know, and a lot of this farm fish type stuff isn't real intelligent, because just like the hogs and the chickens and the turkeys and the cattle, the off-flow of waste product is extremely damaging to the environment. And when you have a flood, a major rain event, or you have something burst, or you have an earthquake, or anything that causes a release of something and it is out of control, you have literally done major damage that you can't undo. And you have no way to clean it up. So when you start looking at more than one source of information, you know, I'm a Fox watcher, only Fox is true. No, but you know, you got to watch NBC, they're more true. How do you know you aren't looking at anything else? Okay, so that's what I say, you know, it's not listening to me as an absolute. It is listening to me to get the idea to look around you and see what else is there.